What's going on, guys? Mystery Matt here once again with another episode of Mystery Matt Plays. Today I'd like to share with you guys my opinion on Cyberpunk 2077. Despite all of its bugs, hiccups, and graphical flaws, let's see how I think it actually pans out. So right off the hop, I just wanted to get out there that I am running this on a base PlayStation 4. At least that's what my understanding is. It's actually a limited edition Batman Silver PlayStation 4, but I'm pretty sure it has the same specs as a normal base PlayStation 4. On top of that, I will probably not be doing a playthrough of this game because, frankly, it's kind of naughty. Anyways, so first up, graphics. This game's got 'em, and in spades. You find little things hidden everywhere. There's books and cups and things that you would see on tables and things like that, but you wouldn't think to render them there. I also find that all the edges and stuff very sharp. That's not to say that this game isn't without its problems. There's been many times where I've gone into mission areas or even seen people on the streets, and they always remind me of a Nintendo 64 character from GoldenEye or something like that. So it does happen, but if you give it a couple seconds to render in, you end up seeing amazing textures, shines, and glosses and things lighting up because we are in a cyberpunk game after all, so things have to be shiny to a certain extent, except for the parts that you want to be grimy. There's that side of the coin as well. So with that, I enjoy everything they do in their designs and things on the walls and things shoved in the corner from, whenever or why ever. Like there was garbage back there in the corner. Why is it there? Probably because it's a dirty place. And heck, you know what they say, a garbage bag is just a hobo pillow. There's been other times where I've come out of a mission and seeing the taxi cab parked across the way there, and right beside it was Jackie's bike. Well, all of a sudden, Jackie's bike becomes airborne. Just it bounces on the ground from being rendered in, and up it went, up almost up and over the roof. So, it does have its problems, but Cyberpunk is getting fixed. So we do have to give it a little bit of time. The only graphical crashes I've had only actually lasted about 3 seconds or so. I was in a big fight, went to go turn around and duck and reload all at the same time, and I could have sworn I broke the whole thing because everything froze, nothing moved, and then all of a sudden it all kicked back in, and I was able to finish the mission and get my ass out of there. Gameplay. Now, by gameplay, I mean controls, things like that, the way the game plays. So, for example, the way cars handle in this game, I find it a little bit clunky, a little bit sway. Um, I don't really trust the driving in this game yet. Like other games, like Grand Theft Auto, after a bit, you kind of know how you're supposed to take a corner and how sharp you got to crank your control stick and that kind of thing to get your car to go around the corner. Also, I find the driving doesn't feel to be as fast as in Grand Theft Auto, which all these things are all very well and good. Every time you switch a game that is a driving game, the speed feel and the how sensitive turning and everything is always going to be different game to game. I'm also playing Wreckfest right now, and the driving between Wreckfest and Grand Theft Auto are also very different. Are they better or worse? No, not really. It's just something you have to get used to. Then we have the aiming controls, which I find can be kind of overcompensated so that, like, you can turn around fast, but when you're trying to aim, sometimes you don't want to be moving that quickly. You want to do a more precise movement. And I haven't figured out how to slow down the enemies yet in the game. I've just barely gotten into the free roam part of it. So these are pretty much my first impressions of this game overall. But when it comes to aiming, you do pick that up as well, just like I said before, every time you switch a game, the controls are going to be a little bit different. So you got to get used to how much things sway or how much they don't sway, or if they have like if they skate a bit. Like, heck, it might even be my controller's drifting. I don't even know. But sometimes it seems like you're trying to hit a certain spot and you'll miss it because you turned it too fast or something like that. Another thing I wanted to go over was the inventory system. Really well designed, well laid out, easy to figure out. Okay, if I want, guns, it's under this tab. Melee weapons is under that tab. Things like that. You can find everything. The only thing I had a little bit of trouble figuring out was how to use the cell phone properly, and that's because I couldn't read the icon in the bottom corner without changing the settings. So other than that, the gameplay has been pretty good. Another problem I had just before finishing the first initial bit of the game is I was in a fight, and as I died, it had put a save point in there, but I had already been hit, and whatever I was hit with left a damage over time marker on me. So then when I loaded the last save checkpoint, it loaded me in, 2 seconds passed, and I died because I was already, oh, not even 2 seconds, it would be almost instantaneous. I would load in, already have been hit, and then the damage over time kicks in, and then I die, and I would load again, and the same thing would happen. There was no way to get out of that loop. So in that instance, I did have to go back to a previous save file and work on it that way from further back in the game, obviously. But that also gave me a chance to check to see if I dropped any guns that actually could have helped in this fight. And I did. I found some purple weapons, some blue weapons, and stuff like that that I didn't have before, which really would have come in handy instead of me dying 4 times before finding all these gems. Missions. Now, missions are a different thing as well. They introduced a cover system which, unlike some other games, again, I refer back to Grand Theft Auto, I find that when you go into cover, it's not as defined, so you can't definitely tell that you're in cover or that you're sticking back too far and you're not being covered at all. I do like how when you aim down sight in some instances, it'll peek around the corner, but you can back up a little bit and he'll snap back in and you're not in cover anymore. So I find it kind of clunky to jump in and out of cover that way, never quite knowing if you're actually in cover. So getting frustrated with the cover system, I turned to a run and gun system because this game has been advertised to be able to play in several different ways. So I switched to a run and gun system and I start going through the different missions, bullets to faces kind of thing. And that didn't turn out very well either because next thing you know, there's a guy that snuck up behind you with a shotgun, hits you twice and you're down. Or you didn't see that guy that was just on the other side of the wall and he came out and hit you with something and you're down. So a lot of the missions that I did right at the very starting, I actually had to do it stealthy. So one mission that I failed twice by first doing the cover system, then doing the run and gun system, dying twice. The third time I go in, I decided I'm going to do this stealthily. So I ended up snapping 8 necks, never pulled a trigger once, got all the way to the end of the mission and out of there safely and ended up passing the whole thing. So some parts I feel that they say that you can do it in multiple different ways, but the way I found is if you're not really good at the cover system and not really fast at the run and gun way of doing things, then stealth is the way to do at least the first couple missions where you can, see which directions they're looking, be able to sneak up behind them and take them out without anybody finding out. There's also spots in this game where while you take them out, you can also dump them into a dumpster, but I think that was planned just because it was a training mission. So, yeah, that's my view on missions. They say there's many ways to do it, but I found the easiest way so far was to just not be seen, to distract everything and go in silently and do as much damage as you can before you even have to pull your gun out. And then when you do have to pull your gun out, your job's a lot smaller. So for my last little bit of opinion, we have story. Now with the story, I found they threw a lot at you really fast. So first off, I started as a nomad, so I started out in the wastelands and that kind of thing. And the first person I meet is Jackie after I meet an officer that leads me to Jackie. Anyway, long story short, I meet like 3 people off the hop. Don't know who any of them are. Haven't seen 2 of them ever again so far. Then all of a sudden there's a lady talking in my ear, and then I meet this other lady and then her friend, and there was just a lot of characters introduced to you all at once, and everybody's probably far enough now. Once you get past the prologue part, all those people don't really matter a whole lot anymore. You're kind of on your own. The game opens up and it becomes a free roam kind of deal. So for the storyline, I think they could have made things more clear, moved a little slower, introduced people slower, made sure they used their names more so that you could pick up who these people were and maybe figure out why they're important to this storyline. But yeah, all these things are just my opinion. This show is not sponsored by anybody or anything. So when it comes down to it, I find that, is this game perfect? No. Is it buggy as hell? Oh yeah. Is it still a good game? I think so. It needs work, but when the story really gets going, you actually start to feel for some of these characters. And when you get used to the movement and everything else, you start to wonder what's the next thing you're going to come across, and is it going to be big enough to be worth your time, or is it just going to be another run and gun and you blow everything up and you're out of there? Anyways, this has been my opinion on Cyberpunk 2077. I'm Mystery Matt. You guys take your easy, stay happy, stay healthy, and we'll see you guys on the next one.